Hey everybody, we're going to put some dowels in this neck. I think we're just going to go for it. So this spent some time drying. I've shaved some bits off. It's not quite perfect, but it's looking good, and it's definitely going to need rebuilt to some degree. But I want to make sure that these parts that were cut off or missing will stay on, are well attached to the rest of the neck. So I'm going to put some dowels in. One roughly here, and then maybe one right at this joint, and that way there will be solid wood moving in every direction throughout this piece. What we are going to do real quick, let's put a little piece of tape on there. Make sure we don't go too crazy deep. If we set this right next to it, alright, that's beautiful. That's exactly what we wanted. Now let me go grab a dowel, and then we will put some glue in there. Just more wood running in more directions. That's really what I want here. Help hold everything together. I'm not sure this is really even necessary. I'm going to go right at this joint so that we can adhere to this and to this piece. There's not really enough meat here. I think I'm going to end up drilling most of this out if I go too far into here. Maybe I can go right at the edge here though. But I think that's going to be about as good as that gets. It's pretty good. We still have some extra height on here that needs to be taken off so it will fit actually well back into the slot. Stuff that got stuck on here that doesn't need to be on here. The other thing we need to do is make sure that we got really clean lines here, because I'm going to have to glue some wedges on here. Just the way everything has worked so far. So some cleanup time is definitely required. We may sit down and do that next. You can see what I'm shaving off is a little bit of wood, but then there's this glue or epoxy or something that was behind it. And that's what was really holding this neck on so hard, that it caused everything to break, that caused all my issues, is that stupid adhesive, whatever it is. So I've been working on cleaning this up for a little bit here. You can see we're looking a lot better than we were, clean-wise. It's definitely a lot cleaner, and I'm trying to get these faces cleaned up so I can add to them in one solid piece, kind of like this or like this. But those faces were not clean the way this came out, so now I'm trying to just kind of sand them flat, one solid face. Now, I'm not super worried about having to take the usual amount off of like the top here and taper that down. I think we've kind of done that with the saw. It's just time to kind of build this back up. Now I will go check that before we commit to gluing these pieces on. It's going to be easier to do that now. Just take some off of here than it is with those on. But I think it's going to be good. I can still clean this up and get an idea how it's going to fit exceptionally sloppily in the actual body. But it is getting cleaned up pretty good. It took me a very long time to get this glue off of here. You can see there's still a splotch of it. I just ended up taking this out to the disc sander and seeing what I couldn't knock off with that. And there's just so much on there. I stopped. I didn't want to take any more. Need to work on this side just as much. There's a big splotch of glue. I don't like leaving those splotches on there. I really do prefer we knock those off. But I also want this to be one solid face. No big divots or waves. I think we still need to knock a little bit off of, not so much this face, but like further in, where you can see there's stuff built up. Yeah, the only way I can do it here is if I kind of carve it off like you're using a knife, get an angle on it, not straight down. It's so dang hard. Whatever glue they were using, it's not like glue I'm familiar with. It's definitely closer to an epoxy. It's so hard. Alright, let me get a little bit further along. Honestly, that's looking pretty good. That's cleaned up quite a bit. Let's take a look at this guy. Something's stopping me from going all the way in. I'm bottoming out. Looks like I put too much on the end. On the end here, and I'm gonna need to cut some of this off. Okay. Not a big deal. So if I fit this in here now, this will go all the way to the bottom. The problem I'm having now is it's just so darn loose. Holding it in place is a task, and I want to get a straight edge on it. But okay, so we need to take some more off. I'm pretty sure. And from what I can see, it looks like we need to take some more off just at the end, on this end here. I didn't really get to see the other side. Let me flip that around. The problem is it just falls out at this point, as you can see, which is a product of this thing falling apart so much and already taking off some of that angle. It automatically gets looser. Yeah, I need to take some off the bottom of here. I don't think we actually have a totally straight line on here. I think the middle is carved out a little bit. And so we need to take a little bit of a wedge off of this bottom. So, like I like to do, I've got 25 thousandths set on my calipers, and I'm just kind of scratching that in the end there, and I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take 25 thousandths off of this end here, whether that's with a knife or with a chisel. Either way, I'm taking 25 thousandths off. And then we're going to feather that up in to make a straight line, a totally straight line with no gap. Yeah, currently, I don't know if you can see that, but there's gap in the middle. So I need to take off some here so that becomes a straight line all the way down, which will close that gap, basically, kind of like this. Just going to take some carving, and of course, anytime I run into glue, it's going to be dumb hard. So, yeah. This chisel is dull. I'm just cutting the wrong way on the grain here, really. I'm trying to cut this in grain, and it's hard. It's a hard piece of wood. But I'll carve away a little bit of this, try to get this a straight line, and then I'll bring you back and see where we're at. Quite a while later, and I think I finally got it fit with a good neck angle. And it fits pretty tight around the whole thing, so we can take that out. And it is super loose. It is super, super, super loose because it won't stay together. So what we're going to do now is glue some shims to it, which I made those shims earlier. And now we're going to glue them on. I'm going to give these a quick once over with some sandpaper just to knock off any fibers. And then we'll put some glue on them. Actually, I'll put some glue on here. Okay, I'll get some clamps. We'll clamp that down. But that's looking pretty good. easily enough. I think if I put some wedges in, it'll help hold it better. Or at least make it easier to clamp. Okay. I can look at that. We'll let that set up for long enough for that glue to dry, so at least a couple hours. We'll shave it down, and then we'll start fitting this back into the body. Alright, so it's been a little while, a couple hours. It's time to take this off of here. I started cutting on it, and then I decided I'd wait till I got everything off of here. I was getting impatient, but then something else took my attention and couldn't be impatient anymore. Okay, that ought to be good. I'll flip that around so I can cut right-handed. Okay, sorry. Like that. Okay. It's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to take my little sanding stick I made, just round these corners off. So it's pretty easy to get this in and out. But yeah, I'll admit that it doesn't scream high-end real nice, but it's solid, and it's bigger than it was. Quite a bit, truthfully. And that's what we were aiming for. We're just trying to build this thing back, you know? It ain't gonna be perfect. It hasn't been for a while. Let's see what we look like in the actual guitar body. Oh yeah, that's what we want. It won't go anywhere near the end. That is actually really, really what we want. We're also kind of crooked, which we can work on. I need to take more off of this side than this side. Which is funny because this has got the bigger shim. Okay, now starts the slow part. As if no part up to this point took a little while. It's time to get the carbon paper out and make sure we get a really tight fit. Okay, so I got this piece of carbon paper. What we'll do is wrap that around our new dovetail. as we put that in, where it contacts, we'll rub that black carbon on the dovetail side. I'm trying to kind of twist it the way I want it, because I want it this heel to go this way just a little bit. So hopefully I can focus on fixing that. But we'll pull that out. And it'll leave marks where I need to carve off to fit better in that shape. And then we can come through here. Carve those marks away. And we're getting improvements. Flip to the other side. There's just one little spot here. What I find is, after a couple times of doing this, I know we've only done it once, but a couple times after doing this, you need to just kind of sand that surface flat. So you can really get some good marks. And then you're good to try again. I'm focusing on this one side because that's what I need to work on to get the twist out. So I'm kind of ignoring the other side so I can get the twist out first. Once I'm kind of straightened up where I want to be, I can then work on both sides evenly so it'll slot in evenly. But because this neck is kind of pushed, this on this side, this is kind of coming this way, I want to take off over here so I can push it back that way. It will still drop in a little bit more as we go. It'll have to, because if I take some off and don't push it in more, it's just going to get sloppy. But if I take some off and as it pushes in more, it'll eventually kind of work its way back where I want it to be. So while I have a mark on this side, I'm kind of ignoring it so I can work on this side to help straighten out that twist. I knew that this was going to be an issue because when I took this apart, this dovetail was not the same on both sides. It was already kind of crooked. And so I added different sized shims to each side. And the funny thing is, the shims that I added should have helped with this twist as it was. It was bigger on this side than it was on this side, which then should have pushed it more that way, but wasn't enough. This is the slow part. This is the part that takes a while if you want to get it right. But this is also the best way to get this right. It is getting better. I can tell. Because there's a little bit of a line where this was, and it's starting to work its way back closer to it. Okay. We hit that point where I need to take a sanding block to it to kind of reset our flat surface. Okay, I'm looking down now and seeing that I've been recording for 10 minutes. So, I think you're starting to get the idea how long this takes. Because while I'm seeing progress, I'm still a ways off of getting this in. We've been going pretty solid for a while now. So, I'm going to go a little bit further on this off camera and see where we can get today.